there are so many now new platforms for collaborating when somebody's asleep in a different time zone. So, for example, we use Yammer, which is a great way to exchange information, tell funny jokes, have our way of communicating and creating a culture among a globally distributed team, even though we're not physically together very often. So what's interesting is we're doing a lot more research now in partnership with our CSR colleagues, and also just really trying to understand company reputation and what the drivers are behind that. So we know that innovation, for example, is a strong driver of reputation, and in order to be perceived as an innovator in the auto field, you have to be collaborating with others outside of the industry. And so for us, that means innovative technology partnerships and partnerships with people who maybe you don't expect, as well as with governments on things like smart cities or autonomous drive. I mean, there is a partnership between private sector companies and government to, pave the way for some of these new technologies. I think there's a couple tips for communicators. I mean, really, I think it's important to read as much as you can what's going on in the outside world. So pick your favorite media, pick your favorite pundits, understand your competition, and really bring that into your company, because especially in engineering-heavy organizations, there is a tendency to be very inwardly focused, and I think the value that you can bring when things are being disruptive is being disrupted is to really understand the context and the landscape and to bring that perspective in. And then also not to panic. I do think that there is a degree of every day waking up to something happening and seeing it in your own social media, even when you're brushing your teeth. So there's no peace from that. And I think you have to have the stamina and the stomach to really be able to take a deep breath, understand if something needs to be reacted to right away or not, and knowing when you need to have the patience to see how something maybe plays out before engaging. So that's a big thing for all of us to kind of get comfortable with, but it is true that speed isn't always the best, though it is sometimes, and really to be comfortable with that and to be able to bring that outside perspective into the company. I think, for the most part, a lot of companies are still trying to evaluate business models, trying to evaluate, is this a profitable business model or not? Is this something that we need to get into for perception versus because we're actually going to make money? And, it's a balance. You want to be typically seen as forward-thinking and an innovator and a leader, but at the same time, companies need to run their business in a healthy manner, and so that means trying to figure out what is the model. And sometimes we partner, sometimes we might acquire a company, sometimes we might build something ourselves, and sometimes we might just track a trend and watch it for a bit and see what happens. The advantage that we have too is that we've got this really innovative partnership, long-time partnership with Nissan, and now with Mitsubishi, which really allows us to have good feelers into all parts of the world, to experiment with different things through the different companies and figure out what makes sense for each brand. And that really helps a lot too, to have those resources and that broad global view.